Hello students, let us start our new session with the new topic, magnetic properties of materials. We have already discussed in the previous topic. We can classify the material based on the value of zeta, that is a diamagnetic, paramagnetic or ferromagnetic. That zeta is the susceptibility of the material. If that zeta is small and a negative, we have a diamagnetic. If zeta value is small and positive, paramagnetic. And if that zeta value is large and positive, then it would be a ferromagnetic material. We can observe this relation in the table. Here we have also included epsilon just to define some positive number which can differentiate the value for paramagnetic and ferromagnetic. So this is how in diamagnetic zeta is available from negative, that is a -1 to 0. For paramagnetic, that zeta value is small and positive, that small value is defined as epsilon, and for the ferromagnetic zeta is very high. Mu r, that is for diamagnetic between 0 to 1, for paramagnetic between 1 to the small positive value, that is 1 plus epsilon, and for the ferromagnetic mu r is very much high. So for the diamagnetic, that mu is less than mu 0, for the paramagnetic mu is greater than mu 0, and ferromagnetic mu is very higher than mu 0 because mu r is high. So let us discuss for the diamagnetic. Diamagnetic substance which has a tendency to move the magnetic field from a stronger magnetic field to weaker magnetic path. Here, while we put a diamagnetic substance in the external magnetic field, then this substance is moved from stronger to weaker magnetic field. So we can say that unlike a magnet which attracts from iron, here it would repel a diamagnetic substance. Here, as shown in the diagram, a material is placed in an external magnetic field. The field lines are repelled, and based on that, inside of the magnetic, very small magnetic field is flowing through it, and the remaining magnetic field is moving from its outer surface. So we can say that from this particular substance, magnetic field is reduced. So here that value we are taking a 1 part in 10 raised to 5. So, and if we are placing this substance in a non-magnetic field, then bar is moving from high to low field. So this is for the diamagnetic. This we can relate with the electron structure, that as electrons is present in atomic structure, these electrons are moving in its orbiting path, orbiting around the nucleus. So while it is moving in its circular motion in its orbit with its angular momentum, these orbiting electrons are equivalent to a current carrying closed loop conductor, and this possesses a orbital magnetic moment. A diamagnetic substance are the ones in which resultant magnetic moment in an atom is 0. As we know, in circular path, the net magnetic moment is 0. So here this relation is depicted over here. As electrons are moving in its circular orbital path with its angular moment, my magnetic moment is 0. Now when a magnetic field is applied to this atomic structure, these electrons having an orbital magnetic moment in the same direction of the magnetic field, whose moment will be slowed down. While the external magnetic field is provided, so the electrons which are in the same direction of the magnetic field, whose movement will be slowed down, and the electrons which are moving in the opposite direction of the applied magnetic field, their magnetic moment is increases. So this is how the reverse phenomena is generated. This is available due to the induced current due to the Lenz's law. So this phenomena is available in the diamagnetism. Thus, a substance develops a net magnetic moment in the opposite direction of the magnetic field. And as in the opposite direction, they generate its own magnetic field which opposes the external magnetic field. So resultant net field would be reduced. And as a resultant net magnetic field is reduced, we can say repulsion force is existing. So this kind of result is available with the material bismuth, copper, lead, silicon, nitrogen, water and sodium chloride. Actually, the diamagnetism is available in all substances, but its effect is low in most of the cases. So paramagnet and ferromagnet can be dominated, and it can shift from diamagnetization to paramagnetization or ferromagnetization. So these materials are cooled at a very low temperature, in which exhibits perfect conductivity and diamagnetization. At low temperature, with the metal, perfect conductivity and diamagnetization can appear, in which zeta is -1 and mu r is 0. A superconductor repels a magnet and is repelled by a magnet. Superconductor, which we can say at a low temperature, gives a perfect conductivity, because conductors in which conductivity is very much high even though at the low temperature. So we can say that superconductor which has the perfect conductivity at low temperature, which oppose or repel the magnet as well repelled by the magnet, which is defined by the Meissner effect by the name of the discoverer. Superconducting magnets can be gainfully exploited in variety of situations. For example, running a magnetically leviated superfast train, in which the superconductors and the diamagnetism can be utilized. Now, next, paramagnetism. Paramagnetic substances are those in which weakly magnetized get placed in magnetic field. Weak magnetized effect we can place and provide an external field, then they have the tendency to move from weak magnetic field to low magnetic field. So in that case, weakly magnet can attract. So here, individual atoms of a paramagnet material can possess a permanent magnet dipole moment in their own, because they are moving from low field to high field. So we can design a paramagnet to a permanent magnet dipole. We can relate it with the atomic structure in terms of a constant random thermal motion of the atoms is available. While their motion is random, then no net magnetization can be available. But while we are providing external magnetic field B0, it must be strong enough at low temperature. Then the individual atomic dipole moment is generated and can be aligned in the same direction. Initially, their motion is random without giving an external field. While we are providing external field, their motion in terms of a dipole moment, atomic dipole moment, they all are oriented in the same direction. In such case, magnetic effect can be generated. As shown in the figure, while the paramagnetic material placed in the external field, then field lines are concentrated inside of the material and the field inside the material is increased. So as shown in the table earlier, we can say that increase of that material is we can define as a 1 part in 10 raised to 5. So when we place that substance in non-magnetic field, now the bar is moving from weak field to strong field. So this particular paramagnetic materials are aluminium, sodium, calcium, oxygen and copper chloride. Experimentally, we can find the magnetization of paramagnetic material is inversely proportional to the temperature. While we are doing experiments, whatever the fellow has done an experiment over the paramagnetic material, he observed that magnetization of the paramagnetic material is inversely proportional to the temperature. So M is proportional to B0 by T. While we remove that proportionality and replace the constant, that is a C B0 by T. Or we can say that zeta equals to C mu 0 by T. That C is based on the Curie's constant, that Curie's law based on its discovery. So thus a paramagnetic material for both zeta and mu r depends not only on the material but also depends on the temperature. So we can say that as temperature is increased, field is increased or the temperature is lowered. If the external field is increased or the temperature is lowered, the magnetization effect is increases and it can reach at the saturation level, at which point all dipoles, the saturation point is in which all dipoles are aligned in the same direction with the field. And after this saturation limit, that Curie's law is not valid further. Right? Now next is ferromagnetism. Ferromagnetism substance is which strongly magnetized while we place in an external magnetic field. It has the tendency to move from weak magnetic field to strong magnetic field, in which initially individual atoms in a ferromagnetic material are available in terms of dipole. So it possesses a dipole moment as in paramagnetic material. But while they interact with one another in such a way that spontaneously align themselves in a common direction over a microscopic volume, or we can say in small domain or the region. In each domain, a magnetization effect is available. The domain size we are taking a 1 millimeter, in which it contains a 10 raised to 11 atoms. So we can say density is very much high. More number of atoms are there. They all are oriented in the dipole form and in the common direction instantaneously. So in the first instant, magnetization varies randomly from domain to domain and there is no bulk magnetization is available. As shown in the figure A, they are moving randomly in form of dipole. But while the external field, magnetic field is applied, all domains, all dipoles are oriented in the direction of D0 in that particular domain, and simultaneously the domains are oriented in the same direction of D0. So the whole substance we can divide in small domains. While we observe the small domains, they are oriented towards the magnetic field, and as later all domains are also present in the same direction of magnetic field. So here in that figure B, we can show the giant or the whole substance of the material, in which we can observe small domains. So thus, in a ferromagnetic material, the field lines are highly concentrated. In non-uniform magnetic field, the sample tends to move from weak region to high region, or low field to high field. So now if we remove that external field, so in some of the ferromagnet material, the magnetization is constant, or it is present even though the external field is removed. Initially we applied the external magnetic field, and all the field lines are towards the external field, so they gives you the effect of ferromagnetization. After produce that magnetization, while we remove the external field, that magnetization remains constant. Such a material is known as hard magnetic material or hard ferromagnets, like alnico, alloy of iron, aluminium, nickel, cobalt and copper. The naturally occurring lead stone is also a hard ferromagnets. Such materials form a permanent magnets that can be used among other things, just like a compass needle. Permanent magnet generally we are using for compass needle, and these permanent magnets are generated from the ferromagnets, from hard ferromagnets. Some of the material in which after removing external field, the magnetization gradually can disappear. This can be known as a soft material or soft ferromagnet material. That's like a soft iron. These are the material, or cobalt, nickel, gadolinium. Their relative permeability is greater than 1000. Ferromagnetic property depends on temperature. At high temperature, ferromagnet becomes a permanent magnet. The domain structure disintegrates with the temperature. This disappearance of magnetization with the temperature is obvious a gradual process. Sudden magnetization cannot be vanished. In a phase transition, reminding us a melting of solid crystal. The temperature transition from ferromagnets to paramagnetization is called a Curie temperature, that is a TC. Here the list of the temperature is defined at which the ferromagnetism can convert to the permanent magnet. For the different materials, for the cobalt it's a 1390 Kelvin. Likewise for the nickel 631 Kelvin. Now we are going to observe the relation between magnetic field and magnetic field intensity, that H is produced due to the external electric field and the current. So here we are saying that if we are providing external field and current starts to produce, as H is increases, magnetic field is not linear, but we are getting a curve like OA straight line in first quadrant. So as the H is increases, magnetic field is also increases. As the graphical representation is defined in OA. Now, if that external field is removed, that magnetic intensity H is removed, so we can say that here magnetic field is not zero, but at the zero value of the H, my magnetic field is available and it's slightly reduced, and the graph is shown from A to B. And that magnetic field at a zero H is 1.2 Tesla. Now we decrease H from the zero, it means in the negative direction. So whatever, at the H equals to 0, whatever the magnetic field is available, that is a 1.2 Tesla, that is known as a retentivity. Right? Now, what we are doing, as H is 0, it means external field is completely removed. Now, if we are providing a reverse direction field, so at that time, my B start to reduce and it will be nullify around H is minus 90 ampere per meter over the negative x-axis. Even though we are reducing H in, or we are reducing H in the negative direction, so what will happen? In negative direction the current is increases, in negative direction the H is increases. So now my curve is available from B to D. Now in the third quadrant, D is available in a saturation condition. So even though the external field is increases, no effect, no magnetic field strength variation is available. At that time, my magnetic field saturation point is available minus 1.5 Tesla. Now we are reducing external field towards a zero. As we are reducing external field towards a zero from a negative saturation limit, so my curve is available DE, and that curve, that B value is available, that is a minus 1.2 Tesla. Right? And from that, again we start to increase in the positive direction, positive external field. So my magnetic field is, my curve is observed E to A. This continuous process, this loop is known as a hysteresis loop. Here we can say that my magnetic field is not directly depends on the external field or external magnetic intensity H, but it depends on the previously generated magnetic field. So this is known as a hysteresis loop, which is quite important. And hysteresis, it means lagging behind. Observe the previous value. It's not the history. History won't be repeat. The curve structure is not same at every time, but it always focus the previous value. So we can say that it observe the lagging value, previous value. It's not the history. Right? Here we are going to end our session. Hope you understood. Thank you.